This morning, 15,000 New York City nurses hitting the picket line in what is considered the largest nurses' strike in the city's history.
Nurses, united! We'll never be defeated!
Union members walking out of several private hospitals across the city at 6 this morning.
We need fair contracts now because I know that people are going to suffer, and that is not what we want.
In response, hospitals like Mount Sinai say they have hired more than 1,000 agency nurses to help combat disruptions to care.
The important, I think, piece to be mindful of is that we have spent lots and lots of time bringing in additional support to make sure that the responsible care of patients remains a priority.
Nurses say they are seeking better staffing ratios, protection of benefits, pay increases, and workplace security guarantees, with the union pointing to recent shootings at city hospitals.
Right now, working as a nurse in a hospital, you are danger everywhere.
On Friday, the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, declaring a state of emergency. This morning, saying she's happy 11 hospital systems have reached agreements, and she's sending New York Department of Health staff to the 3 striking hospital systems to monitor and ensure patient safety. All of this comes as flu numbers across the country are reaching record levels. 41 states, including New York, are seeing high or very high flu activity.
The healthcare system will be there to make sure that people's needs are met.
For the millions of people here in New York City, patient care should not be affected, so the hospitals say people should not delay or avoid getting help in a medical emergency, George.
Okay, Rhiannon, thanks.
Well, you can certainly...
Let's get over into this next video.
Hear it all around us, and this has been the scene since before sunrise. Now, these nurses are out on the picket lines because they say things aren't happening inside, and there's never a good time to have this many essential workers off the job. But these nurses say they are prepared to stay on the picket lines until what they say are essential demands are met.
Now you got to think. Remember what a strike is. That means they're stopping going to work, and they're stopping getting a paycheck. They're going through, they're risking hopefully they're in a good position financially, which is hard to say for a lot of people, but they're not getting a paycheck in most of these cases. I don't think if you're striking, you don't get a paycheck now tell me if I'm wrong now. So they gotta be very desperate to go through this. But let's keep going to this video.
Nurses inside Mount Sinai who are actually on duty joined their colleagues who cheered them on from the picket lines once the strike started at 6 a.m. Nurses from 5 major hospitals in the city are on strike. That's Mount Sinai Morningside, Mount Sinai West, Montefiore, and New York Presbyterian Hospital. A union representing nurses tells us that negotiations with the head of those hospital systems stalled over what they called unfair labor practices, with demands like higher pay and safer working conditions. They're the kind of demands similar to the last major nursing strike in the city in 2023. That stoppage lasted for 3 days and resulted in a deal that raised pay by 19%. This strike comes after an incident just last week where a man wielding a sharp object was shot and killed by police at New York Presbyterian Brooklyn Methodist Hospital after barricading himself inside of a room with 2 others.
We're fighting for safe staffing. We deserve health care, especially as healthcare workers. Patient safety for us. There's a lot of violence in the workplace. And patient safe staffing ratios.
There have been improvements since our last strike, but there's still more progress to have been made. And there's been discussions about them possibly wanting to take that away from us. They want to take back a lot of the things that we were able to progress on with the last strike. So a lot of this is not even just for progress, but also maintaining what we fought for in our last strike.
Mount Sinai issued a statement saying, in part, quote, "Unfortunately, NYSNA decided to move forward with its strike while refusing to move on from its extreme economic demands, which we cannot agree to. But we are ready with 1,400 qualified and specialized nurses and prepared to continue to provide safe patient care for as long as the strike continues." Let's go ahead and bring you back live, and we're going to walk.
Now, it's a crazy thing to think about. Because thinking about the hospital and thinking about if you ever gone to the hospital with the bills that you get from the hospital, they're making a lot of money. Doctors make good money, or some of them, I would think. Most doctors make good money. But the nurses, it sounds like they don't get what they think is fair at the end of the day. But I for sure know them hospital bills be big whenever they send it to your mail. So the money's going somewhere, or maybe the machines, or it's understandable that the nurses want more money, especially in times like this with the economy and prices getting higher and higher. And they feel like they're not being respected for the work that they do, especially since that whole thing with them not being considered professionals. But let's keep going.
Around because you see them wearing their trademark red. They have their signs on. They're whistling. They have support from the city buses, the FDNY, and others as they get by. And we do know that Governor Kathy Hochul has issued an emergency declaration to help with staffing shortages as this strike continues. But these are folks who say they're going to stay on the job as long as it takes. We're live in the Upper East Side this morning. Tracy Strahan, News 4 New York.
Tracy, thank you. And News 4's Romney Smith is at New York Presbyterian Columbia Hospital in Washington Heights with another show of support where Mayor Mamdani and other elected officials are at that rally in support of the nurses. Romney.
That's right. We know that there are several political heavyweights that are throwing their support behind so many of these nurses that are on strike right now. Now, we know New York City's mayor, Zohran Mamdani, speaking to the crowd of healthcare professionals, lending his support, saying while he's monitoring the situation, he firmly believes that nurses should not have to accept less pay, fewer benefits, or less dignity while performing life-saving work. In addition to Mamdani, today's speakers also included New York Attorney General Letitia James and the borough presidents from Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and more. Now, nurses here tell us that they appreciate the political support and hope that it will influence ongoing negotiations in their favor. Mamdani and other leaders all echoing that the goal is to reach a resolution that respects nurses and keeps hospitals open.
This strike is not just a question of how much nurses earn per hour or what health benefits they receive, although both of those issues matter deeply. It is also a question of who deserves to benefit from this system. There is no shortage of wealth in the healthcare industry, especially so at the 3 privately operated hospital groups at which nurses are striking, the wealthiest in the entire city.
Now, as you can clearly see behind me, there are so many nurses wearing red, holding signs, and making a lot of noise in support of their ongoing efforts. This strike will continue until a resolution is reached. Once we learn the terms of that, we'll, of course, share that with you both on air and online. We are live in Washington Heights. Romney Smith, News 4 New York.
Now, the question still remains, will they give in to the demands? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But just like how they have more people coming in for the people who are striking, there are going to be people who will accept the pay that they offer, especially in the times that we are in now. They'll take the stares of the people who strike and they'll just go and do their job and work. But do nurses deserve more money for the job that they do? Yes. Just like I think teachers deserve more money for the job they do. But we'll have to wait and see if the higher ups, because ultimately it's up to the higher ups in the company to take a pay cut, or because the money's just not going to fall out of nowhere. All the money gets distributed. So somebody has to take a pay cut. At least that's my thinking. Let's go over into the AI breakdown, because I like to do that to see anything else we might learn from this whole situation. So like I said, it's approximately 15,000 nurses are striking in New York. So the impacted hospitals are Mount Sinai, Montefiore, I'm not a good name, and the New York Presbyterian. Presbyterian? Yeah, those 3 hospitals. So the core issues that they're demanding, so safe staffing ratios. So the nurses claim that hospitals are retreating from the staffing guarantees won in the 2023 strike, leading to dangerous patient-to-nurse workload. Understandable. So following recent violent incidents at local hospitals, the union are demanding enhanced security measures and behavioral health rapid response teams. Understandable, because people are getting violence. Health benefits and pay. So the union is fighting proposed cuts to the healthcare coverage and seeking wage increase to keep pace with the cost of living. Another thing I can understand. So the hospital administration have characterized the strike as reckless and unnecessary, noting that they have prepared with approximately 1,400 temporary agency nurses and spent millions of dollars on contingency plans. So like I said, the higher ups are going to find people who work. How many they can find is the question. Is it going to be enough to come back the strike? But I'm assuming they're hoping that the strike doesn't last long. Why? Because some people need to make money. People can only go so long without getting a paycheck. But so we got Mandani, so he has expressed his public support like we've seen. And then Governor Cathy also signed a 2-week executive order to provide hospitals with emergency resources. So what is the current status of the state? So right now it's an indefinite strike. The hospitals remain open and utilizing the approximately 1,400 temporary travel nurses, which they are getting paid. Travel nurses, I know, get paid a lot of money. I've heard about that all the time. Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. But right now, 15,000 nurses across New York are striking because they want certain changes. They want to keep the changes that they won from the last strike, and also get more because of the cost of living increase and just different things that are happening in the United States now. What are your thoughts on that whole situation, y'all? Do you agree with I always do that backwards. Do you agree with the strike of the nurses? Do you think they deserve more money? Or do you think they get what they get and they should be fine with it? Tell me your thoughts on that whole situation, y'all. Absolutely crazy situation. But that is what... Hey, you strike when you want to when you want to get different results in any kind of company. Some companies will put up with it, some companies won't. You just have to wait and see. It's a crazy situation, y'all. Like I said, let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said.